What's up, guys? Lore here with another round of Heart of the Swarm replay roulette. We got a Protoss versus Terran coming up today. Down here in the southwest corner of Newkirk City, we have our red Protoss Sagha. Or Sega, maybe. Just like, Sega, or whatever. I don't know. That was dumb. I don't know why I did that. Down here in the southeast corner, we have our blue Terran Xenon. So, Protoss versus Terran. Reminder once again that this is just a random replay that I found on drop.sc, which has been fun so far, just sort of grabbing random replays and just seeing not necessarily what pro players are up to, but what are the average Heart of the Swarm players up to? What is the random stuff that manages to, because I mean somebody has to upload these, right? What are the games that someone said is they say to themselves, man, that game was awesome, I need to throw this up on drop.sc and share it with somebody? Because that's what I end up seeing here, is I'm just browsing through the listings on drop.sc and finding replays and casting them. So very, very interesting how this has worked out so far. There also, as a reminder, has been a massive pass since my last few casts. I've done, obviously, I did one cast already since the new beta patch has been released, but there has been a massive beta patch, which has changed a lot of things. A whole lot of changes for Terran, whole lot of changes for Protoss, especially Protoss air units, and I don't actually remember all of the changes that happened for Terran. It's actually how many changes that there have been that I just can't remember all of them. I know that Reapers are faster now. If I remember correctly, there's been a bunch of changes to how Hunter-Seeker missiles work. I don't know. I'm really hoping that we get to see some of those changes show up in this game. So let's see what's going on over here. Xenon actually going to be the first to scout, sending this probe down over here. Will he be able to get in there in time? Does not look like there. Ooh, there is this SCV on the way. Moment of tension right at the start. Is the SCV going to get that depot down? Oh, the depot. He's not actually getting a depot down, so the probe will just go in. I thought he was on his way to. Excuse me. I thought he was on his way to drop a depot, but he was not. That is a scouting SCV that's heading out, and so Sagha will get himself a little bit of a look-see around Xenon's base here so far. Just sort of checking around. I mean, at this early of a scout, there's not too much in the way of information he can get. Obviously, he sees there's only one gas. He sees there's 3 workers in it. Ooh, and he may actually lose that probe already. Bit of an awkward patrol path there that's going to, I believe, eventually allow that Marine to actually catch him. But maybe not. Maybe that Marine's just going to follow him around ad infinitum, which is one of my favorite Latin phrases to actually use. Oh, but there is another Marine up over here, and so down will go that probe. But yeah, this early on, all he can really see is that there's only one gas. He didn't even see that tech lab coming. So nice work by Xenon there, sort of hiding that early tech. Meanwhile, Xenon is also getting some scouting in. Does lose that SCV over there, but he was able to... was he able to see that second gas going down? Yes, he did see the second gas going down. So he knows that Sagha is probably going to go for some sort of early tech. Now, since he's sitting at close to 400 minerals, I imagine we will probably see an expansion drop down here relatively soon. Or it could just be that this guy doesn't really know what he's doing all that well. In fact, there goes now up to 3 gateways. So he's just sort of sitting on a lot of minerals for a while there. And does now go up to 3 gateways, 2 gas. Interesting opener. Not sure what exactly the plan is there. I'm hoping we'll see an expansion out of him here soon, because otherwise this game could be a bit wonky. Meanwhile, over here for Xenon, we do have another barracks and a factory in production now, and nothing else going on really major. Neither player really in a hurry to expand, it looks like. In fact, we have a missile turret going up here near the front of the base. Now, I don't mind that move so much. It seems like a very, very early missile turret, but there has been a change to Protoss where they've lowered the cost of the Dark Shrine. The Dark Shrine now only costs 100 gas, whereas previously it cost 250, which makes getting a Dark Templar rush out much faster, much more possible. It's a lot easier to actually get those Dark Templars out in a big hurry. And ooh, here comes one of those super fast Reapers on the way now. And did he actually grab... It doesn't even exist anymore. No, he did actually not grab the Reaper speed upgrade, which makes them even faster. But already, look how fast this is. Now, one of the major reasons that they changed the Reaper speed was specifically to make them more useful in Protoss vs. Terran. They are now able to outrun Stalkers, which is super important. So he's going to be able to come up in here. Takes a shot at that for some reason, but he's going to be able to get on some worker harassment. There's 1 worker down, 2 workers down. Not quite able to get that 3rd one. Oh, wow, and he doesn't get the 3rd one as well. In fact, he could have run away from that Stalker, but did not. That was a bit of miss micro there from Xenon could have easily saved that Reaper's life. Ooh, and that's a bit of a mistake there too. Started building another reactor and then canceled it. So a little bit sloppy play out of both of these guys. Again, this is a random replay, so it's entirely possible that they just don't know what they're doing. Maybe their mechanics aren't that great just yet. We do have an expansion now coming up for for Sagha at the exact same time that one starts for Xenon. So very similar expansion timings. Now this could be a scary push here coming out of Sagha. That's 5 Stalkers and a Zealot. The Zealot won't matter too much, but the 5 Stalkers may be able to, like, he'll get the Zealot up in here. The Zealot will absorb some damage, and the Stalkers should be able to do a little bit of poking in the back. Although it is also possible that now that he has a decent number of Marines and a couple of Marauders out too. So it may work out that he just kind of wants to back off as soon as he comes up there. Or he might just park over there and deny that expansion. Also not a bad idea at this point. He's going to go ahead and send that Zealot up in there and poke away at this at that depot a little bit there. Does kill the depot, but loses a Stalker in the process. Not really a great trade. Wants to keep as many units as he can at the moment, and actually taking a little bit more damage there. Xenon looking like he doesn't really want to push out and attack this just yet. But Sagha will pull back after losing that Stalker. Just wanted to apply a little bit of pressure there. Wasn't really going for a kill. That's something that you actually don't see a lot of lower tiered players actually doing, which again makes me wonder what rank these guys are actually at, what level of play they're in. You don't see a lot of the lower tier players going for attacks that aren't intended to kill. That's one of the first real major skills you learn in competitive StarCraft as you start to get better, is just knowing when to send out a few units just to poke a little bit, just to say, hey, you're not going to get away with just sitting back and doing nothing but macroing. I'm going to make you actually worry about your units a little bit. And ooh, here we go. Widowmine out. Widowmines have also gotten a change. If you guys remember a few games ago that I cast, Widowmines were kind of ridiculous. They were able to see things that were stealthed, and there was something else that was ridiculous about them. I don't remember exactly what it was. But now they've changed a little bit. They do have splash damage now once again, which I don't remember if they had last time. They've kind of gone between having splash damage and not having splash damage a few times. But they're no longer able to see cloaked units, which is incredibly important, especially if the Protoss player does decide to go for early Dark Templars, which he's not. Looks like he's actually he's getting out some Robotech. He's got somewhere over here. There it is, Robotics Bay in production. And it looks like he's just going for what we would consider a very, very normal play. Does have this Observer out over here poking around a little bit. Another one over here. I do like that. I like seeing when Protoss players go for extra Observers. A lot of times you see them try to get away with just one Observer, and then they just die. There's a Banshee coming in over here, but Sagha smelled that coming. He's got these Stalkers already in position. Unfortunately, they don't have Blink, so that Banshee should be able to escape. But he will chase him off a little bit. Ooh, doubling back around here. Is he going to come back in again? Ooh, he is waiting for Cloak to finish. However, there is an Observer over here, so that will not work in the slightest. That Observer will be able to spot that Banshee. He gets one probe kill, and down he goes. Nicely handled there from Sagha. I'm not sure. I'm actually really curious if he ever scouted that. He did scout. Oh, he does have this this Observer over here that scouted the starport. I wonder if he saw the Banshee at some point, or if that was just good game sense, knowing, you know what, he hasn't really attacked yet. I should probably just throw a couple of Stalkers, because he's got to have the Stalkers sit somewhere, right? Might as well have them sit back in the back end of his base here, and just keep an eye out for any sort of Banshee attack like that, because, you know, turns out that's a unit that the Terran has that sometimes he likes to use. Really, really liking this Observer positioning here from Sagha, though. He's got them positioned in pretty good places to be able to see basically everything that's going on. Now he's going to be able to spot that Raven actually was just barely out of line of sight of that thing. Now he's going to be able to scout that this is moving out. He will very shortly see it at the Xelnaga Watchtower as well. And we'll have to see what sort of answer he has to this. He does have Colossus in production. That will be his first Colossus once it finishes, and I believe that should be able to finish, especially if he starts using some of this Chrono Boost, which he's got banked up a ton of at the moment. He should be able to get that Colossi out in time, that Colossus out in time, and spawning in more sentries as well, so he's going to delay quite a bit. I believe his plan is just going to be to force Xenon to stay back, to say, look, I'm just going to not let you in here. Ooh, nice. Burrowing, those were right in his line of sight. He shouldn't have been able to see that, or shouldn't have been able to get those down. There he does drop down a bunch of those force fields, trapping a whole ton of the Marines up in front and getting the Raven. That's the important bit, is that he killed the Raven there, which is now going to allow this observer to wander around unfettered, which is my word of the day, unfettered. He's going to be able to kill off these... Oh, he did actually drop a scan to kill off that observer, so he can no longer see these Widow Mines. Is there another observer anywhere nearby? Looks like that was the one that was down there. So those Widow Mines are going to keep him locked up for just a moment until he can get another observer out, or perhaps send one from across the map. But no, actually he's going to pick up those Widow Mines and start backing off. Now the medevac. Here's... I don't know why he's sending it up over there. But I'm going to point this move out real quick. They have gained a new ability. First of all, the heal has gotten a bit of an upgrade, or it's gotten an upgrade available, which he is actually researching at the moment. Improves the medevac's healing rate by 2. So if we check the current medevac over here, 3 life per 1 energy, that brings it up to 5 life per 1 energy, which really makes it very, very hard to actually kill anything. If they're getting healed for 5 life, basically I think it's every half a second that it actually heals. The other ability that they've gotten is this emergency thrusters ability. Increases the medevac's movement speed by 70% for 8 seconds. That is a big deal. So if he comes in for any sorts of drops, he's able to get in, drop people off, and get out in a hurry. He can pick them up and just leave. Going to be really interesting. I really hope we get to see him use it here. There he did actually use that speed boost ability, and look how fast he actually gets across there. I think that was probably a pretty poor use of it, but it also has a relatively short cooldown. So he's going to be able to... it's actually going to be back up again by the time he gets up over here. Wow, so he's going to be able to see what's going on over here, say maybe this is a bad place to be, and oh, he was not paying attention and loses that medevac with a full load in the process. Could have used that booster ability to get back out of there again, just was not paying close enough attention when his medevac actually reached that base. Meanwhile, we do have a third command center now up for Xenon. He hasn't moved it over to expand yet, and he's just focusing on a really heavy, looks like tons of Marauders popping out right now, going for a very heavy ground-based bioforce. Wow, that's a lot of Marauders. How's he doing on upgrades? Only 1 weapon upgrade. He's at 0-1, his opponent at 0-0-0. He is now chrono boosting out 1-1 upgrades, so that will help him out a little bit, and he's getting that Zealot charge as well. So that will be fantastic, actually, against this team, this composition from Xenon up over here. Relatively even on supply, too, so that is very nice to see. And he's actually dropping another command center very far forward, and he's going to land this one down over here, so very aggressive expansion positioning. I say aggressive because it means he is going to now have to defend these 2 bases, whereas he could have done a little bit more passive of a expansion positioning and gone up here and over here as well. Made it a little bit harder for his opponent to actually get to, much like Sagha is now doing as he's expanding up over here in this corner. So, interesting little difference in playstyles here. Xenon seeming to be a little bit more aggressive. He's going to want to be moving out with these relatively soon here. Just sort of taking map control as much as possible and saying, you know what, I'm going to expand out this way because that's where I want my army to be. I want everybody to be out towards the middle of the map. Whereas Sagha says, nah, I'm going to play a little bit more defensively. I'm going to hide back over here, be able to block off this section here. This section actually reminds me a lot of, was it Shakura's Plateau, the way this is positioned here. In fact, this whole map kind of feels like half of Shakura's Plateau. It's actually kind of nice. I do like this map quite a bit. We've seen a lot of really epic games on this map so far. It's just large enough to not be susceptible to anything too cheesy, but it's small enough as well that you get some pretty epic battles going on. So, Xenon is now up about 30 supply, and I want to check the income tab here real quick. Has a little bit of an income advantage as well. Not a huge one, just a little bit of an income advantage. And both players are just sort of sitting back and teching up. We do have somewhere over here, somewhere around here, there they are. Archon's now in production. He did go for the Templar Archives, and he's in fact researching Psionic Storm as well. So that's how he's going about getting his Archons. I do kind of feel like if he was just going straight for Archons, now that that Dark Shrine is cheaper, going for the Dark Templar to make Archons might be a little bit better of an idea. But since he is getting that Psionic Storm upgrade, I imagine he will want to have the High Templar, at which point obviously it makes more sense to have the Templar Archives, because you kind of can't build High Templar if you don't have the Templar Archives. Little known fact. Only a few people have actually figured that one out yet, but yeah, you can actually do that. Alright, so these guys are both being extremely passive right now. Not much action at all. We've got Sagha adding on more and more structures. And ooh, we've got a little bit of a movement here, finally. Xenon's starting to move out here with all of these Marauders. That is a buttload of Marauders. Wow. But only one medevac in there, so this army isn't quite as strong as it might seem. He does stim, actually leaving a whole ton of his stimmed army in the back there. Ugh, that was a bit of a wasted stim. He's going to try and charge up here. And with those Vikings, should be able to take down, he does manage to take down one of the Colossi really quickly. And against this army of Sagha, Sagha just has a much, much smaller army at the moment. So I'm not sure how well... The probe leading the charge. That probe did not live very long. But let's see how this goes. Sagha charging in there with all of his zealots and everything. Trying to do as much damage as possible. And wow, actually doing significant damage to Xenon. That stim, without the medevacs in there. Ooh, and he does manage to take down the Ghost as well. Has now lost all of his Colossi, though, which is going to force him to turn around. Honestly, with as low as that army is, I think this army could kill it, and now bringing out a huge wave of Zealots. Looks like he's probably going to be chasing this army down relatively quickly. Will the Zealots get in there? Will the force fields go down? Does drop off a nice couple of force fields. Going to be able to get himself a few more kills in the process, and then we'll turn around and head back. There are reinforcements coming across the map for Xenon now at this point, but it's not a huge wave of them. Which is surprising because he's really low on supply, or excuse me, really low on, or really high on income. And very, very far below his supply cap. I feel like he should have stronger production than that right now. But he is still sort of squeezing his way back into that supply lead, now up about 15 supply. And wow, this is a lot of probes just sitting down over here. He needs to get another, he should be at least sending them up over here. But should also be planning on taking this expansion sometime soon. And probably this one as well. I feel like he's probably pretty safe to take that expansion and maybe even this one down here. Just lots of places that Sagha could be expanding right now. Might just feel a little bit under pressure from Xenon's army sitting around here in the middle of the map. Double scans going down. I'm not sure why he needed to make that many scans happen. Did you really need to see his entire army to know where it was? That's a bit iffy. I think it's just because the scan ended right where those guys were. He wanted to know exactly how big his army was. But you don't need to know exactly how big it is. You just need to know where he is at the moment if you want to go out and attack. The rest of that should come from your general game sense. But here we go with another attack here. Ooh, a nice EMP does drop, getting rid of all of those shields. Doesn't quite hit all of the sentries. There are still some force fields left, but both players are going to just kind of pull back. Not sure what that's all about. More Colossus now streaming in, or now joining the fight. Only one more Colossus, actually, so... one Colossus is kind of a waste at this point. There are a couple of Vikings out, which will pretty much just kill that right away. It's not really going to do too much. But meanwhile, the charge for the Zealots, nice little force field in the back there, going to make microing a little bit more difficult. Wow, he did actually manage to kill most of those Vikings. Almost all. There's only one remaining before they were able to kill off that Colossus. So, excuse me, I was mistaken moments ago. One Colossus actually can do things as long as you focus down the Vikings as quickly as possible. Or it may have just been that they got out in front and automatically took all the fire from the Stalkers. But either way, Sagha now finds himself at a significant supply advantage. Now up 30 supply for... I want to say this is the first he's really had a supply advantage all game. Seems like Xenon has been ahead most of the game as well. He's just been a bit iffy on exactly where he attacks, and now he's sending off, looks like another drop. He's going to send this off probably up over this direction, and a drop over here would actually be devastating for Sagha right now. That's one of two mining bases, and this base is starting to dwindle quite a bit. He does now have another Nexus in production down over here to be able to get out some more mining relatively soon, but this drop could be pretty strong from Xenon if he's able to pull it off. Meanwhile, however, what's going on for Sagha? Again, getting out more Colossus. Does now have a second one out on the map for a total of 2. That's what second means, in case you're curious. And just continuing to get upgrades. That is now... is that 3-3? Yes, that is 3-3 upgrades now finished for Sagha, compared to the... Let's find a ground unit here. 2-3 upgrades of Xenon. So relatively even, and looks like the third armor upgrade is now in production for Xenon. So they will be in what is that, about a minute and a half. They will be even on upgrades. And wow, he's actually decided to drop up over here and clear out those things instead of continuing onto that base. I feel like that was a mistake. He doesn't know that base is over there. So he's got to assume, though, at this point that the base is over there. And, ooh, now needs to use that speed boost upgrade there. He does actually use the speed boost on one of those medevacs, which will get him out of there in a hurry. So nice usage of it there. Could have used it a little bit earlier and saved that other medevac, and that would have been nice. And this is a really big, scary army from Sagha right now. He is a little zealot heavy, which means in the chokes he may get a little bit bottled up. But if he can attack Xenon in an area like this right now, if he were to move in there and attack right now, that would actually probably go extremely well for Sagha, especially if he's able to, because he does have a few High Templar in there, and they do have plenty of energy. If he's able to surround Xenon's army and deal tons and tons and tons of storm damage, I would love to see that right now, honestly. I would love to see tons of storms dropping down on this army. Meanwhile, Xenon has now capped himself out on resources. I'm curious where he sits in terms of, wow, 92 SCVs. That's just a little bit overkill. Don't need that many SCVs at all. So I would hope to see him. It basically means that half of his supply is in SCVs right now compared to the 72 of Sagha. So Sagha having a much stronger army supply at the moment. And 72 is about usually where you want to stop on workers for running off of 3 bases. That's kind of the magic number over time. But anyway, here we go. The Zealots getting balled up in the back there for a second. A couple nice storms dropping down. Wow, completely ripping that bottom army to shreds. The top army has now gone down as well. This bottom army is actually all that's left now at this point. And that went really, really well for Sagha right away, just immediately ripping Xenon's army to shreds. The Zealots will finish off the remainder of that army, and this base is definitely going to die. And Xenon says Joker Ace. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Oh, it's Joke Race, not Joker Ace. Jesus, I'm retarded. Joke Race. Really? Really, Xenon? Really, bro? Really? You had the advantage for the entire game, didn't do anything with it, and then threw it away at the end. Joke Race. You lost, sir. QQ more. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what happened, is that Xenon had the advantage for the entire game, didn't do anything with it, just sat back, macroed up, allowed his opponent to sit back and macro up, and eventually, if you allow a Protoss, yeah, if you sit back and don't do anything to the Protoss and allow him to get this army, and then leave your army standing around the middle of nowhere, guess what happens? The Zealots charge in, surround you, the storms go down, especially if you don't move out of the storms, that was dumb, and then you die. That's what happens. That's why you gotta not let that happen. Needed to be doing a lot more damage, especially with those drops. Like, why would you drop to kill 2 pylons and then leave? That's ridiculous. So, that's pretty much what happened there. GG's to both players regardless. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Lore, and I will see you in the next match.